Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Company Rules. This happened a few years ago, when I was working as a techno manager in a startup IT firm. It was a small firm with less than 50 employees, and there were two founders. Let's call them Ricky and Joel. Ricky had worked a short time in a big corporation, but was not able to stand authority and had to resign, whereas Joel had no real workplace experience. Ricky managed the place like a king, with tantrums, anger, etc. Joel was simply a yes man to Vicky. We had an HR lady, who was okay with the older employees and strict with the newer ones. As for me, I was not that good technically, compared to my colleagues, but was good at people management. Also, I was one of the longest serving employees. I was friendly with most of the employees, especially the new ones. This was because I knew it was not easy to work with the founders, and I wanted the show to continue, as it was my first company too. So a new joiner, named Bob, joins, and after 6 months, he is assigned to a project. Because of time zone differences, he worked up to 4 to 5 AM, and the client was happy with him. Since he was sleeping late, this guy always reported at nearly 11:30 AM in the office. Out of the blue, the founder calls me and HR and asks why Bob is late to the office, and says he has to be in the office by 10 AM, as the other guys. The HR lady took the responsibility of asking Bob about that. At this point, since the HR lady was not aware of Bob's working hours, I interrupted and told them that he was leaving the office by only 2 to 4 AM, and it's kind of unfair to ask him to come in early. Vicky cut me off and says, no, he has to follow the rules, and this is the basic etiquette when working in this office. I just said okay. The HR lady calls Bob into her office and questions him about the timings, to which Bob says, okay ma'am, I will comply. Bob and me have a good rapport, so he comes directly to me and tells me what happened. I asked him, what are you going to do? To which he says, I will ask for a clarification via mail and then will comply. I understood where this was going and gave him my best of luck, trying hard to contain my laughter. After 10 minutes, HR comes to me with her laptop in a panic and shows me the email that Bob has sent. He has CC'd the founders and the client's head he's reporting to. Hi client, this is to inform you that as a request from my office to comply to the office timings, from tomorrow onwards, my working timings will be from 10 AM Indian Standard Time to 7 PM, i.e. 10:30 PM to 7:30 AM Chicago time. I request you to change your meeting times to the times when I am available, and if this causes any inconvenience, please contact HR, Vicky or Joel. Thanks, Bob. I asked the HR lady if this was somewhere mentioned in the offer letter, and she nods yes. Then I told her to take the matter to Vicky. Vicky scolds HR for this, then asks her to correct this. She goes to Bob and asks for correction, to which Bob firmly says no. The HR lady insists because Vicky asked her to, but Bob still stands firm. He demands that Vicky formally replies in the mail thread, asking to refer to his old timings. Bob also says that he is not going to get back to old timings unless Vicky mails, and that they have approximately 4 hours to do so, before the client reacts. HR comes to me for help, and we go together to Vicky. Vicky lashes out at HR, and at this point I interrupt and say it's better to address the issue, as in 4 hours the client will get involved, and we have to decide that. Vicky hesitantly sent out the mail, saying it was a mistake, as Bob's special case was not considered during the decision making, and Bob can continue his earlier timings. As I walked back to the office, I saw Bob looking at me and laughing really hard, and I had to hold a straight face as the HR lady was also behind me. Needless to say, Bob has his timings intact. The next story is called I Can Count. I was at Costco last month, buying a load of heavy whipping cream, maple syrup and half and halves. I was making my special drink that I always give out during the holidays. You know how Costco has that big section full of empty boxes for us to take? I took a bunch of them and put my ingredients in them, so I wouldn't have to manually put each one in my car. I was probably buying close to 20 of each, so I had enough to give all of my family, friends, co-workers, neighbors, etc. I did self-checkout, so the poor cashier wouldn't have to scan like 70 plus items. Got my receipt and made my way over to the receipt goblins at the exit. At my Costco, most receipt goblins just glance at your card and then just swipe your receipt. They are too lazy to count through it all. Well, the lady I had started off looking through my card and seeing what I bought. After she realized how much stuff there was, she asked, "How many of these are there?" while pointing to the box holding both heavy whipping cream and half and half. I couldn't even remember how many I bought, so I just started manually counting each one in front of her. That's her job, but I didn't mind counting and helping her out. Now, this is where she caught me off guard. Not even a couple of seconds into me counting out loud, she snaps in a condescending voice. "I know how to count. I wanna know how many of these," while pointing to a carton of half and half. I'm thinking, lady, this is why I am counting. But alright, whatever. I reply back, "I don't remember how many I bought, but since you know how to count, you are more than welcome to." She just glares at me and starts manually counting them all. After finishing counting all 70 plus items, she hands me back my receipt while trying to avoid eye contact. I just say thank you and wish her a better day. The last story is called Following the Maps. When I was younger, around a decade ago, I used to love two things: cars and roads. Still to this day, I love cars, but the way I loved roads was through maps. My favorite activity when I was bored was to go on the Maps app and look at the highways that surrounded my area. My oldest sister, at the time, was the only sibling of mine who had a license. One summer day, she was bored and decided to take me and her boyfriend to an amusement park, an hour and a half away from home. This story begins on the way back. My father needed the car at the car dealership, as it was scheduled to have routine maintenance done the next morning. My father sent her the address of the dealership and requested that she drop the car off, and he will then pick us up at the dealer. Here is where my sister made a mistake. She typed in the address and clicked on the nearest place with that road. The issue is that the nearest place with that road was a town, going an hour in the opposite direction. She gets onto a road. Let's call it State Route 100. This intersects with Interstate 1, which we were supposed to get onto. When she passes the highway, you were supposed to make that right. That's not what the map says. 5 minutes later, I say again, we are heading in the wrong direction. This does not go home. Maybe it's an alternate route that's faster. I don't think a road going in the opposite direction is faster. At this point, she cut me off. She was clearly annoyed. "Listen, I'm going to focus on what the map says, not on you. Just stop already." And with that, I followed her instructions. After all, why would I complain about going on a road I have never been on? We stopped for gas about half an hour in. My sister was still convinced we were going in the right direction, but why should I correct her? She is listening to the map after all. We hit an expressway, and my sister is convinced we made it home and is pleased with herself. This was until an overhead sign said, "Town B, Regional Airport, 1 mile." At this point, my sister realized her mistake. She starts freaking out, saying, "I didn't know this road went here. I was following the map. Why didn't you tell me we were going the wrong way?" I was scared of her getting mad at me, so I just said, "After you told me to stop, I just stopped paying attention to where you were going." She eventually pulled into a gas station and saw where she set her GPS to. After correcting her mistake, we headed in the opposite direction. Although the car ride was rather silent, we eventually saw signs for the amusement park we started at, because she had to turn left at the road I originally told her to turn at. And that is how I turned a drive supposed to be an hour and a half into a 3.5 hour journey. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.